Okay, it looks like we're live. So good afternoon, MDL. Welcome, April. Thank you
Hi.
so much for being here. I'm so excited. I've been waiting. We have had this plan for a while, so I've been waiting for December, and here it is. I have one more interview, and then we're done for the year. So I feel like we're at the climax. We're at like the grand finale. So it's very exciting.
It's an honor to be with you, and I was looking forward to this so much too.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. It's always a pleasure. I'm looking on Facebook right now so that I can pull up our little interview so that I can talk to people if they are asking you questions about your stuff. Yeah, here we are. Okay, so there's some people watching. Hi, Megan. Megan's watching.
That's nice. Hi, Megan.
And Carrie are watching. Megan and Carrie. Hello, ladies.
Okay.
So it's just been really fun to be in your energy just for the past few minutes to hang out. But I mean, I always feel that way about you. April actually wrote a lot of the about me content on my website. If that's just a fun fact, if anybody was wondering. I did some small changes to it, but she put a lot of that together for me. Thank you. For free, as a really nice, sweet, loving friend. You could come to her for yours, but it's not going to be free. I'll tell you right now. She needs to be charging people. So if she tries to give it to you for free, let me know. That's not right, okay. We'll let it pass once from when you did it for me.
Right.
No, but you're so sweet and wonderful. And April's an amazing author. So I have one of your books that I've been slowly reading with my son. And it's called, I don't want to butcher it.
The Last Wizard of Eneri, Clare.
Okay, so I was saying Eneri. Yeah. Eneri.
And actually, that's my only published book at the moment. So
okay,
we're hoping I'm hoping to work on a sequel. Huh?
Yeah, I said more to come, right?
More to come, I hope. Yes.
Yeah, so it's such a fun book. I love just seeing and picturing in my mind, how you're depicting the elementals and the magic of the forest and everything is so much fun. And Jackson really likes the characters. So
oh, that's good.
It's great to be able to do that, share that. And I'm like, I know her. I actually should have put that together for him when he came in to talk to you, because he would have been like, no way.
That's great.
He's like, we know they're famous and we know them. I'm like, yeah.
It's funny. There's a really important water sprite in the book named Undine, and she's really important. And she just came to me, and she came to me. When you're writing a book with characters, at least for me, they're talking in your head, and they're telling you stuff. And sometimes I argue with them. I used to sit with the characters, and they would say, "And now I'm doing this," and I would be like, "Why? Why are you going to do that? I don't want you to do that." And they're like, "Shut up and do what I tell you to do." I'm like, okay, fine. So she was talking in this really strange accent, with kind of like a broken English. And I wrote it all down. And then I said, this is going to be bad. I said, people are going to not like this. It's going to be like Jar Jar Binks in Star Wars. They're going to complain. And I tried to change it. And she was like, don't you dare. So I kind of left it the way it was, and nobody's complained. So
no, we like her.
Yeah, she seems to be just very comfortable with that portrayal.
Yeah, that's so funny. So yeah, check out that book, everyone. You can get it on Amazon, and I'm sure other places as well. And it's a lot of fun to read. So, and one of the other things that April does is she channels her main guide Merlin a lot. But I've heard you channel many times, many beings, and it's all beautiful and clear and wonderful. And you're also a wonderful tarot professional, right? I know that you are really good at reading tarot, and you even have some tarot classes that you've been teaching, right? And I'm not good at tarot. I'm actually very bad at tarot. So I read them exactly the way that I would read any oracle card, which is I pick it and then I'm like, okay, can Spirit give me a channeled message?
You don't need them then. You really don't need that
No
tool.
shit. Just tell me what to say. What is this for?
That's like me. I'm so comforted to hear you say that because I have this thing with pendulums. Well, you guys are all like using pendulums, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
I love my pendulum.
I'm terrible at pendulums. I can't get them to do much for me.
Yeah.
And I really like have to. Everyone has said just spend time with it, but it's good that you know that
I don't
you
think
have a
so.
tool that resonates with you, and you don't necessarily have to master all of them.
Right. And I also feel like pendulum is 100% not for everyone. I've actually had this conversation with a lot of people, and I fully believe, and it's not for everyone at all the time either. Like, for example, I went through a phase where I tried really, really hard for the pendulum to be a tool for me, and I could not make it work. And then I got to a point where like it became like my main tool, my biggest tool, and it was like I could use anything as a pendulum. And I honestly don't think for me, it does not have shit to do with how much you bond with it or sit with it or sleep with it or pray on it or whatever. I literally could pick up, I would go to the mom's market because I forgot my pendulum and be like, can I borrow your name tag? And like clear it real quick with some ultraviolet light and like use your name tag as a pendulum like all the time. I really think it just has to do with like, is this a tool for you? Are you meant to use this tool right now? Is it compatible with your gifts in the best way? Yes, then go. No, then
I
skip.
agree with you. And there's so many wonderful tools out there that
Right. I
you
mean,
have your
so many
choice of what
options.
resonates with you. I
Yeah.
have a secret guilty pleasure that my secret tool that I've used for everything came years ago, and I was being muscle tested by a friend who does nutritional stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the regular muscle testing where you put your arm out and they push down on your arm. And it's if there's anybody here who's not familiar with it, your body has a lot of wisdom of its own. And there's ways that you can test your body to find out if something is good for you or not good for you. But I kind of like took that as my friend that was testing me. It's really hard to move your own arm. So she was showing me how you can use your fingers to sort of
I knew
open.
you were gonna do that. That is so
Yeah,
funny. This is the second time this week that I've seen
really?
this, and I'd never seen it before. And this
It's
is now
so
the
funny
second
because
time.
I asked my guys, I was like, can I use this to communicate with you? Can I get yes or no answers from you? And all of a sudden I was using it for everything. My
So cool.
brother says to me, he doesn't like believe in all this stuff, but he's always saying, can you do your finger thing for me? Or do
Right?
that, check in. And it's just
Funny.
been really mostly, as long as you're sort of lined up right for the day and you're not completely out of whack, it works really well.
Cool.
So that's an extra tool that I use. I don't even need to bring anything with me.
Right. You don't have to borrow anything.
But of
I mean,
course, it's crazy if you're standing in the supermarket, as Rachel says, and you're just like standing there going like that, stupid things, and
yeah.
people are like,
Well, I mean, I guess it's a little better than me asking people if I can borrow their name tag, right? I mean, oh, Megan read about that in a book this week. Wow. So that's number
"You kidding?
3. Yeah,
Wow,
weird. I've literally
synchronicity."
never seen it. I had this channeling student who lives in the Black Forest in Germany, who's amazing, like way beyond his years and gifts. And he was talking about it in channeling class, and I was like, okay, I just figured it out from context. He was doing a type of muscle testing with his hands, but like I didn't even ever see it, and then you just showed it,
So
and
funny because I've actually tried to teach it to a couple of people that I thought would really profit from having a tool,
yeah.
and some of them just can't make it
You know what
work.
I
So
think it has a lot to do with this stuff is which of your clairs are most active and most forward and strongest. So for
yeah,
me, like Claire cognizance is so heavy. It's such a
yeah,
like leader of my gifts that like it's harder sometimes to have faith in something that you're not seeing or hearing. Like you just
yes,
know to speak something, but you're like, but why? If you don't see a vision or you don't hear a voice. So with like a pendulum for me, it gives me that like other thing that like confirms it, if it's not a
yeah,
vision. And I think that's why it's a good tool for me. But like say a person who's like Rachel is very clairvoyant, clairaudient, and I will like literally see her getting the answer before the pendulum moves, and I'm like, why are you using that? Like I know that what you're hearing is more accurate than like whatever you're doing with that thing. Like I know that you're getting the answer before it's coming through the
right. Like I said, you don't need a tarot because your guides are talking to you. It's like pretty. You just they're just
right
giving you the answers. Yeah.
right so it's just like that's just not the thing, but I still think tarot is really cool and I love it. I can admire people being able to use it really well. Same with like astrology, like, you know, people who really know
Oh,
the
yeah.
intricacies of it. It's very cool.
Yeah.
And very helpful. So, I mean, I love that you do it. I love that you can teach other people how to do it in like a way that they can really, I have a feeling you're really good at teaching it. So
I try really hard not to, because this is a not exact science. So, you know, a lot of students will come and I'm teaching them the facts, the basics, the symbolism, the numbers, the
right,
colors. But if they come to me and they'll look at a card and they'll see something completely different than I do. And my job is not to discourage them. My job is to say,
right.
okay, that's what your guides and you are like making that card mean.
Yeah,
And just remember that, because your intuition is really what's guiding you there. So the
yeah.
trick to teaching tarot is just to not shut anything down, I think.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of that's with a lot of spiritual work, right? It's about like bringing that curiosity versus judgment and like really exploring what's coming through and seeing hi Sarah, where the message is, you know.
Is there?
Interestingly, I just got a new tarot deck accidentally. I my friend Lahia is selling a bunch of her decks and she has like 30 decks and they're amazing. Like I wanted all of the decks. There was like a Syrian Starseed deck. I was like,
Oh,
that's
wow.
like what?
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Rachel, I've been talking about making a Galactic deck. I'm like feeling it. Um, it's needed, right? Like a
Yeah.
Galactic's Oracle.
It is needed. It's
Has
not
to
enough
happen.
out there. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna do it.
I think you should. Yeah, you would be the person to do it. You're really in
Maybe
touch with
like
it.
why not? I think it'll be like light codes, then like galactic beings of different like 4 or 5 Arcturians, 4 or 5 Lyrans, like different ones, and then also maybe sigils. Could be pretty cool.
Cool.
Anyway, so she was selling these decks and they were only $10 a piece. They're all in good shape. And I grabbed this one because I don't really have any Doreen Virtue.
Fairies.
Do you have this one?
I do not have that one. I have a bunch of Doreen Virtue, but not that one.
And I thought it was an oracle deck. In my mind, it clearly says tarot cards right next to the fairy, giant fairy. I don't know why I didn't see it, but I bought it thinking it was oracle cards.
You can always use a tarot deck as an oracle deck.
And
You can always
I am.
use it that way.
I love it. I was like, so I came home and I pendulum checked. I bought 5 decks and I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to keep all these. Like, I think I'm supposed to keep like 3 of them and give 2 as gifts. Hey, Heather. And so I was like in my head, like, I have a feeling that I'm supposed to have this fairy tarot. Like, I'm supposed to keep this one. I just think that's going to be the big joke on me. And of course, like I'm swinging the pendulum and it like gets to this deck and it's swinging like wildly. Yes. Like if you keep one deck, this is the deck, you know?
This is it. That's the one.
It's so funny.
I said, fairies want to talk to you.
They're so cool. I've been looking for a fairy deck that I would like. And I hadn't really found anything that was really resonating. And they're so different. Like, I don't know how well you can see this, but they don't really seem like tarot, right? They're like,
yes,
they're by
wow, the artwork. The artwork is amazing.
Aren't they cool? It's Radley Valentine and Doreen Virtue.
Yeah, he's really good, but those are really deep, yeah.
Right? They're really neat and they're beautiful. So I was like, well, of course I was meant to have these. And they have little messages, like they don't even set up like tarot, right?
Oh, that's really great, yeah. So that's really all you need. You don't need a book or anything.
Unless, I mean, there is a book, but I haven't opened it yet.
Yeah.
So I was like, yes. And the other tarot deck I have is called the Illest Tarot, or that 90s tarot. And it has very little information, but it has all, like each of the things are represented by like people in popular culture in the 90s. So there's like, you know,
interesting.
It is like, I'm trying to think of who are some of the people that there's like Erykah Badu is like the magician or something, or Lisa Bonet's the magician. You know, there's like different yeah, it's really funny. I've talked about them before. It also has like very little information on the cards. It has like one notebook page. of like notes, and that's it. There's no like book, anything. It's just like a page, and it's like cups mean emotions. Like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, that's not very much information for someone who has no idea what they're doing. But you know, maybe that's a good thing, because it's not like it leading you too much. Like, it's letting you, this is the whole guidebook.
Holy
right
mackerel,
here.
that's like the whole, wow. Well,
How do
it
you
would seem
get?
to me that would be either for somebody like on a very entry level who would be attracted by the pop culture,
That's why I
or
got it.
for somebody who's really good at this and doesn't need any guidance at all. You know, that would just,
I couldn't agree with you more.
it's really funny.
Right. It's exactly right. I'll try to show you one that's I mean, like, you'd be amazing with it, right? Like, here's Drew Barrymore as the sun.
Oh, that's kind of good. You know, I think they paired them up pretty well.
Yeah, like some of them are really like, I don't even know what this means, but here's the Olsen twins as the Knight of Pentacles. Is that money?
Knight of Pentacles would be about, no, it's really about the plotting knight that is very like 3D based, very dependable, truthful. His
Interesting.
horse is a Clydesdale. He's
Oh,
very like practical, and he likes sensual pleasures, and he likes regularity of schedule and all
interesting.
that.
I don't know why that would be the Olsen twins.
I don't either. I'm not sure
It's a little
what, you know,
confusing.
this is anybody who makes a tarot deck that is um making new art with it or preparing stuff with it. It's very subjective what they think
Right.
represents.
Right, of course, right? So, and they're not, you know, necessarily all based on that. I guess, is it called the Rider Waite? Is that what most
Yeah.
people? We've got Kurt Cobain, Judgment,
Okay.
King of Pentacles with Oprah.
Yeah, that makes, some of these make sort of sense to me, but I'd have to sit with them, you know, and oh
Winona
wow, look at
Ryder,
that.
King of Knight of Cups. Winona
Yeah,
Ryder 90s style.
this is
Which
really interesting.
I don't know what that's related to, but you remember she had like a kleptomaniac
I
issue,
was just thinking that actually too.
right? I
Yeah.
feel like it's related. I don't know why. That's what I
It's
started
kind of
thinking of.
sad. I mean, she's a really good actress, and all anybody remembers is that she's a kleptomaniac,
I
you
think you
know.
can tell that like something's not 100%
Yeah,
with her
yeah,
when you know what I mean? So I think
yeah,
people like hang on to that because there's something in her energy.
yeah.
Like her characters, sometimes I'm like, your characters are right on the edge, and I feel like you might be typecast because that's how you are.
Because that's how you are.
Yeah,
Yeah, could very well be.
so good at it. Like, I don't know. And then finally, we have the devil of Courtney Love.
That's so funny. I'm surprised I didn't pick Yoko Ono. You know,
Oh,
like
that's
not
great.
that she's
No, because
70.
it's 90s culture.
I know that's right. It wouldn't be
If
70s,
it
right?
was 60s or 70s culture. Yeah. Anyway, thought you'd get a kick out of them. So tell
Yeah.
us, April, all about how you became a light worker. Um, and what were
Okay.
your earliest experiences, you know, with spirit? Did you see or hear things, and how did that all work for you?
Okay. So I'm gonna just kind of try to make this brief, but I'll go back. I'm gonna go back a ways.
Okay.
I will just first say I'm 64 years old, and I'm saying that because I've had a very rich and interesting life with a lot of chapters. And I was I was raised in the Lutheran church.
Okay.
And I was a pain in the butt to them because even as a little kid, it's not like I had that gift when I was little that I saw or heard things, but I kind of knew when stuff didn't sound right.
Yep.
And I was
Me too.
questions all the time, and I was really smart, and I was always asking questions that people would say, shut up and do what I tell you, and
Yeah.
don't
You're
ask
like, I
questions, that kind of
can't.
thing.
Yeah.
And so and I was very fortunate because both of my parents were a little bit open, and my father was always reading like Ruth Montgomery. Some of these names are going to go way back, and maybe some of you younger people haven't heard of this, but Edgar Cayce and Ruth Montgomery were really like these big names early
Okay.
on.
So
And
that's like the sixth Edward Cayce for me in 2 weeks.
okay, so that's, yeah.
That's crazy. So Megan, like a week and a half ago, was like, Edgar Cayce wants to come to you. He wants you to channel him, blah, 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 blah. And she was like, do you know who that is? And I was like, I've heard of him. Is it galactic? Something
Whoa.
aliens, blah, blah, blah. She was like, maybe, kind of. She was like, check him out. He wants to come to you. And I was like, is it something about like being a clear channel? And she's like, yeah. So I was getting a little information. and he wants me to talk about being a clear channel or something. Anyway, so ever since then, he's come up seriously like 5 or 6 different times, different things I've read, different like posts.
Now I'm saying it. That's
I
interesting.
know.
He was one of the greatest, and he was one of the great healers. He brought forth medical information, and maybe that was from galactic sources. And he said would go into the Akashic records and just find stuff out very easily. And him and like Ruth Montgomery and a couple of other people were like really at the beginning when this was all fringe and everyone laughed at it. And my father would bring this stuff home in Fate magazine, and then he would tell us all this stuff and be excited about it. And he believed in reincarnation. And I would be like, I don't know if I want to believe in that, but then at a certain point, I got to the point where I thought, I have to believe in that because it's the only thing that makes sense, and everything else doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, like it ends up being right, especially when you're raised religiously, it ends up being like belief by default.
Yeah.
At a certain point, I totally get that. I was just like, not that. I know it's not that.
For years ago, I used to say to him, I don't want reincarnation to be true because I don't want to do this again. I'm not like, I don't really like this. I don't want to come here again.
Well, maybe you're on path 9, and maybe you don't have to.
I hope so, but I will say that I kind of got used to liking being here.
Yeah, I like her.
Especially, and I was always into unicorns and magic and King Arthur and like Merlin and everything, even from the earliest age. So, and when I was in high school, I was starting to like look into all of this, and the people would say to me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I would say, I want to be a seer in a cave that people would bring fruit and stuff and get wisdom from me.
Oh my God. Meanwhile, you've already been that.
I guess so. I don't know, but I was kidding. I was sort of kidding, but I wasn't kidding because I thought I would be good at it.
I love that. That's perfect.
And then, I sort of like got on a spiritual path of reading books. And little by little, I started to question my religious training and open up to, I still go to church. I actually get paid to sing in church, but I'm at a church, a congregational church where it's very open theology.
Yeah.
And I just kind of try to like expand what they're saying to include more symbolism and things.
Totally.
And
I like once we reconcile it, like, so we have the like religion, we have the religious programming. A lot of us who are doing this work, who are light workers too, especially, I feel like, or seers, or, I was it's so funny, right? I was prophesized over because that's okay, right? That's allowed because you use the word prophet, but it's not okay for me to be a medium.
I know I have that same issue. Somebody in my church, there was a sermon about Samuel. There's a story in the Bible about Samuel who's a kid. He goes to live in the temple so that he could be like dedicated to God. And he's studying with this older guy who is the temple, the priest, and he's sleeping in a different room, and he hears a voice go, Samuel, and he gets up and he runs to his teacher and wakes him up and says, what did you want? And the guy says, I didn't tell you anything.
Yeah.
And he goes back to sleep, and it happens 3 times. And finally the guy says, well, I didn't call you, so somebody did. So next time you hear this, say, I'm here, Lord, what do you want? And so this is the sermon, and that's okay. That's okay that you could get called by a voice in the middle of the night. But if you go to somebody and said, I heard, someone tell me this information, they're like,
oh, we need to rebuke Satan out of your body.
Such a disconnect.
Where do you think, like, so Moses goes up on the mountain or whatever and gets the 10 commandments, right?
Yeah.
That's Moses, right? So is that not channeled? What am I missing? That's not channeling?
Right, exactly. Exactly. It's in there. But that's the thing. Well, we're in the modern age. This doesn't happen anymore. It only happened thousands of years ago. Really? Is that how you want it to be?
Like in the burning bush. So either he's mad clairaudient and clairvoyant, or he's tripping on like some ayahuasca,
crazy,
or some magic mushrooms. But one way or the other, like some shit is going down. If you're talking to a bush that's on fire, am I wrong?
The whole Old Testament is all prophecies. Yeah, it's all prophesying. And New Testament about healing.
It's like we see it. We see the programming. We see the trauma, or what conditioning or whatever, and then we go all around it,
Right.
so many of us, and we reject it and we explore it and we go in and out of it, and finally we come back around to where it's like we reconcile it, right? And we have like a forgiveness around it, we have like a love, and we can cherish the parts that are light and right, and then we can go back and do things like sing in the church and get paid and totally like vibe with it, and it's chill, and it's just so
Right.
cool.
It's a good circle. You're right. And you, when
Yeah,
you come around, you're on the higher octave where you're looking at the things that are said and you're
from a
going,
bigger perspective.
oh, I understand what this means now I understand what this means. This didn't mean what people told
Right,
me
I
it
don't
meant
have to
when I
be
was
mad
a
at
kid.
this isn't oppressing me in any way, you know what I
No.
mean? Like, but I believe that it did for a long enough time to completely reject it so that I can come completely back
Well,
around.
but that's important too, because Megan and I had this on Facebook too, that Megan made a post and I commented because there
Yeah.
was a long time when I thought I had to be tolerant of all religious paths, and just respectful.
Mm,
And then I finally, today's day, I said, no, I'm not going to tolerate anything that pretends to be a religion that's about oppression or lying
right.
or putting people down or
Even
dividing people
science,
or judging them.
because I feel like
And
science
it's
is our new religion.
too much of that.
And
So
I'm
that's not spiritual. It might be a
yeah,
religion, but it's not spiritual. It
totally
isn't
agree.
worth it.
Totally agree. Anyway, so you
So
okay,
anyway,
sure.
I just
Sorry, I had to just
I
like
don't want to
crack
get
that
through like my
knuckle.
entire life, but I got some really important things were a moment where my father was so interested in this stuff that I wanted to get him a reading with somebody, and somebody recommended a person in Texas who trance channeled. And I was only like in my 20s, so it's like
Okay.
40 something years ago.
Wow.
And I called her up and I said, I want to get this for a gift from my father. How do we do this? And she said, well, I'm actually, that's fine, but I'm hearing your energy and I think you need it more than he does. And I went,
Oh,
okay. So I
yeah.
kind of got a reading from her. And this was back in the day when trance channeling Ramtha was starting to be like on the air. There was the first person who was really famous was this woman who channeled an ancient entity called Ramtha. And she would go on Johnny Carson and she would full body channel and walk around and like
Oh,
hold forth. And
wow.
everybody would be like, is this? But
That's
unfortunately, she
wild.
ended up making a ton of money from celebrities and buying like a ranch of Arabian stallions and holding workshops with people that cost millions of dollars and like getting all wrapped up in the commercial end of things and not
Right.
being reliable anymore.
Got
But
it.
she was a big path breaker. And the person who did my reading was more quiet and, not famous, but she was really good. She channeled Azrael, Archangel Azrael, and she channeled Andrew, the disciple. And sometimes she channeled some of the female entities as well. And I got interested in her, and she's the one who first started channeling information for me. She had like a tape back in the days of cassette tapes,
I
a
love it.
tape course that you could buy with the different frequencies of light. What do we
Really?
call it? Angel fire, or
How fascinating.
using the violet flame and the blue
Yeah,
flame and the
yeah,
pink
yeah.
flame and the. So I learned all that stuff, and then I had a voice teacher and I was studying to be a singer, a classical singer.
Okay.
And I had a voice teacher who turned me onto Alice Bailey,
Okay.
who wrote all these
Learning so
books
much.
about, yeah, Alice Bailey. The books are very dense. It's really hard to read them, but they're
Okay.
channeled by a guy that claims he met Saint Germain on the mountaintop of Mount Shasta.
Okay.
And it's like all kinds of channeled information. So I read that stuff and I was like just expanding my mind. And then somewheres in my 30s, I had a very close friend that was into all this stuff who moved away to California and had tons of crap to give away. And she handed me a deck of tarot cards, Rider Waite, with a book and said, I think these are for you. And I was like, tarot, I don't know, And she said, no, I think you like them. And so I started to study with the book she gave me, which was all about the major arcana.
Okay.
And I was going into New York City Opera in the chorus. And I was in the dressing room with people all the time. And as I was studying, I would say, how'd you like me to practice on you? And everybody loves to get free readings. So
Right. Yeah.
I started to sort of do these little readings where I had to like look at the book all the time and, go back and
Right.
forth.
Right. Right.
But it was free. So, I didn't feel
Yeah.
bad.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
after a couple of years of that, people would start to bring me presents just like free, they would be like, oh, do me, here's some earrings,
Yeah.
and I would be like, okay, good. And eventually I felt like I was good enough to take money. And I just kind of kept reading and kept studying and kept doing that.
Uh-huh.
Now, fast forward, all this time I'm been like this spiritual, I loved all of this stuff, but I kept it sort of separate from my, this is life,
Other
and this
life.
is like,
Yeah.
I
Right.
have unicorns all over my house. I have dragons all over my house. I have
Amazing.
like in my college room, it was all over everything. But people kind of laugh at you and they say you're so innocent, you're childlike, So I kind of got beaten down in the
Okay.
sense of not being able to really think that life was very magical at all.
Mhm.
And, recently, uh, coming back, Rachel and I met here in New York when she lived here, and we were both singers. And so we were in a class together and we got to be friends. And then when she moved to Louisiana, I lost touch with her a little. And like in 2018, when I found her again, she is already a very accomplished teacher and a sound healer. And I started with the group on Facebook, with Rachel's group on Facebook, and took some of her courses, her channeled courses. And I was just like blown away because it was all about how all this stuff is real. Yes, there are unicorns. Yes, there are dragons. Yes, they're right
Yeah.
next to you. Yes, it's all real. And I thought, oh my God, I'm so happy that I was in the
Yeah.
vanguard. I knew it all the time.
You're
And
right.
so that kind of woke me up again. And I took her trance channeling course. And we were in the first course together.
Yeah.
And the
That
very
class
first course,
was bomb at first.
it was amazing. But the very first
That
day when
crew was lit.
we channeled something right away, and every other person except me was successful. And I just like sat there like a lump going,
I couldn't channel my joy guide at first. I wasn't
really?
successful.
I kind of remember almost everybody because I like sat there and nothing happened. And
No,
I
I
looked
remember you and I both struggled. I think it was for different reasons. In
different
I
reasons.
had like a
Yes.
big block on my joy. Like I had been channeling, I'd been trans channeling
Oh,
before.
I remember that. I remember that. You had, yes, I do remember that you were having
And
trouble
so it, like I
because,
knew I could channel, but like I didn't. So I was like especially upset because I couldn't channel the easy first one that everyone starts with, and I was like a mess, and I would like weep during it, like the whole time I would just like sob and cry
oh, well, I
over my
waited.
joy guide.
Yeah, I know that was kind of ironic. And I went home, I waited, I like held it together till the class was over. And then I like sobbed all day. I was like, oh, big failure.
So
And
crazy.
Rachel and I had a little private session. And what she explained to me was, she said, you have to know, I think it's your expectation. For me,
Mine
it
was
was my,
trauma. I know it was. It was
you
trauma.
had
It was a
trauma that,
block from
okay,
childhood trauma. And Megan had a hard time with her protection guide for I think the same
because
exact
of,
reason.
she had a lot of childhood trauma
Yours,
too.
I think, was about like not believing, not realizing how like good you are,
Yeah,
and
that's
like
exactly
having to
right.
believe it.
And also it's a matter of what you expect. Like I was like remembering all my old acting classes where they kind of tell you to close your eyes and breathe and then like stand and count to 10 and do an, like this is like the Stanislavski method or something where you have to like feel something. And I would stand there like adult and go, nothing's coming. I don't know what the heck you're talking about because I'm very intellectual.
Ooh, hey, was that okay? I'm gonna really go weird, but I feel like you can follow me. Did you ever see the movie or watch the play Chorus Line?
That's exactly that song is exactly what I'm talking about. You are right on target.
I'm like
Where
singing
they say
it.
be
Yeah, the
an
Puerto
ice cream
Rican
cone or
woman
whatever.
who feels nothing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh my God, that's I'm
And
like hearing it in
the
my
name of
voice.
the
I'm like
song.
singing it. That's my favorite
Yeah,
movie.
the name of the song is Nothing. I think it's like, and I felt nothing.
Yes,
Like,
that's the song. That's exactly
and
feel
when every
feel.
I felt that song, when I
Yeah,
heard that song, I was like,
I
this is
love
my
that
life.
movie. Oh my God.
And I thought trans channeling was like that because she was like, just move your ego over and like invite them in and see what happens. And I'm like, nothing's happening. They don't come. I don't know what you're talking about. So she said to me, all right, can you, I know you do these guided meditations. Like, can you just do guided meditation where you just stand there and talk to him? And I'm like, yeah, he'll, who's ever supposed to come.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. So what is he saying? And I would tell her what I was hearing in my head. And she was like, well, if you're just going to be a translator, that's channeling. Like you can just listen and say it. You don't have to like be possessed and
Right.
out of the way.
Right.
It's different for everybody. So the minute she said that, it was like something switch flipped, and I was like, oh, I could do that. And it got better and better. And it turned out for me, for some reason, that Merlin and I just clicked because I've been studying him all my life.
Yeah.
And now I feel most comfortable. It's like we're bonded, and I
Yeah.
get him most
No,
of the
it's
time.
really special. Like it's really cool how you do that. And I know that there are a handful of light workers out there who have like a special person who they channel. Thank you, Heather. She said you're both such inspirations for me. And Megan says watching April channel Merlin is amazing. It is. It's so cool to watch you like in that relationship, you know? And I agree, like from the very first moment you channel Merlin, it was like, oh duh. Like of course he's with her. Like I don't know, it was just like obvious. Like I don't know. You could just feel it. Like you really embody that relationship and it's really cool. So isn't there something about um Saint Germain,
Yes.
Merlin?
Yes, and that's the other thing that I got introduced to Saint Germain all the way back, like when I was with that voice teacher who was telling me about Alice Bailey. He is one of the great ascended masters, and an ascended master is somebody who's lived a lot of lifetimes here, or in Saint Germain's case, he's lived some lifetimes that lasted for 200 or 300 years just because he knew how to regenerate and not die. But they're very wise. They've overcome a lot of challenges and they know what it's like to be a human. But now they don't have to be human
Thank
anymore,
God
and
for Saint Germain.
they're helping
Oh,
from
hey
up there.
Rachel. Rachel's ears must have been burning talking about trance. She popped on.
Oh, that's
We're
really
talking
exciting.
about our first, Rachel, we're talking about our first experiences in trance one and that OG
That's
class
right.
and
Oh,
how
by the
like
way, those classes are just awesome. They are very,
so much fun.
if you think you can't do this, that's why I'm saying that I had trouble, because you can do this. You just have to, um, she's a very gentle teacher and a very encouraging teacher, and it just is amazing how she'll hold the energy for you and lead you through the process of learning what your process is. Um,
Yeah.
so that's a
I
quick
started
advertisement.
teaching a channeling class
Oh,
lately.
are you doing that?
Yeah, and it's like Rachel and I have been talking about it because like we're trying to figure out if they're compatible to like piggyback with each other, because mine's actually really different because I almost see it like as like a pre-trance, like pre to her class and so like at least the channeling one, because a lot of what we talk about and do is like removing blocks and like meditation, healings for things like the things that you think you can't do, or like that kind of stuff, opening Claire's up,
That's
those,
fabulous. I
those
wish I would
things.
have had that. I wish I would have had that
Well, me
available
too.
before.
That's why I created it.
Yeah.
'Cause, like I think it would have made me like more prepared to like
Yeah.
go into that space, or at least know like, okay, I might have something here with my joy guide that might be kind of hard, or and I know why now, I understand or whatever. And I do like in trance, like I do like get them to the trance channel part, but it's like by the very end one time. Like it's not like it's all this other stuff leading up to it, like you were saying, like the translating, the card reading, the getting insights in all these other ways so that people can understand that they're already channeling and they're already channels. So they don't have to feel like
Right.
if I'm not trans channeling, then I can't do it, you know, like, so yeah, we've been talking about that a lot. Like if there's a way that we can like,
That actually
almost
makes
connect
sense
with
to
each other.
me. It makes
It's
sense to me
interesting.
because I do think that would be a really good prequel, at least,
Right? Yeah.
yeah.
So it's been, but yes, it's been really cool. And we were in the second one together too, I feel like, because
So,
I remember channeling Merlin for you, and
yes.
everybody was like, well, I got Merlin. Like everybody wanted to channel
Yeah,
you
yeah, that's
guys.
true. But actually, you did do it for me, and there's something that Marilyn said through you that
I remember.
touched me so deeply that it changed everything.
What was it?
And it was through you. I remember now.
Mm,
You said
awesome.
you were so tender, and you were channeling Merlin, and you said, "Look," you said he's standing right behind you, and he's saying, "Look at her." Look at her hair. I'm playing with her hair. Isn't it wonderful?
Oh yeah, I remember
It was
that. Oh yeah, he thinks you're so fabulous.
it was
Yeah.
personal, and it was like it just made me feel like I love him, and it was like, not people have said I have a problem with worship, like one of the reasons we can't get in touch with our guides is because we're like, please shine down on me, great master, great angel, you know, like, and it's like this much separation. And
Right? And they
that
don't
doesn't
see it like
work. They're
that,
right there.
right?
You're right there. They're friendly, they're accessible.
Right.
And when you said that, it just changed everything.
Oh,
It
thank you for
just,
telling me that. That's beautiful. You know, I forgot about that till you said I remember it now. But what I remember is the different ways he was showing me to use the violet light and flame. I remember that part of the
that's
channel.
Saint Germain. And that was back to what we were just, you asked me. Saint
Okay, maybe I
Germain,
channeled both of them. I don't know,
Saint
but I know
Germain is a,
I remember that information really clearly coming through about like it could be like a laser, it could be like a cloud, it could be like all the different ways you could use the violet flame to like do
right,
things.
right. The Saint Germain is actually the master of the violet flame, which is the violet flame is actually morphing and increasing because now there's the violet flame with gold and silver and the violet flame rainbow color and the violet flame with lilac fire.
I
And
mean,
it's
we need
all
it.
Diana Cooper is doing a lot of work with bringing that through. But Saint Germain has always been the master of that. He's the master of the seventh ray, which is freedom through responsibility, which is the Lord of spiritual discipline.
Ooh,
So
I love that.
having a
I love
practice, having regularity, applying yourself to what you're doing spiritually. And freedom through responsibility means that freedom is not just whatever the heck you want to do because that has consequences. It's understanding that the law is if you choose wisely, you get freedom because you don't have all those negative consequences.
Yes,
So
I love
it's
it.
a
I
process.
believe in that so much. Like that resonates for me so much. And I also the same thing
Me
with
too.
discernment. Like discipline and discernment, it's like they get a bad rap, but like
It's
because we
important.
want to call them like punishment or judgment or I don't know, like uptightedness, but like it's so important. It's beyond important, I feel like, to have a consistent like anchor in your practice, to be able to always like have a grounding presence that you know you can count on, that you've cultivated yourself. There's something about that that's really empowering and
I
important.
agree.
So I
I
love that.
do
And there's
agree.
other keepers of the flame, yeah. So like there's Zadkiel, there's Amethyst, right? There's
Right. They are
Serene,
all, Ezekiel works
Merlin.
very closely with Saint Germain, and Amethyst is probably the female consort of
She is
Zakiel. So,
correct.
okay.
Yeah.
So they work with that. And apparently, Merlin is one of the incarnations of Saint Germain who has sort of
I was
broken off as a what they call an aspect.
okay.
And an aspect is an interesting thing because I'm not sure I understand it 100%, but it's
I think it's
when
like
one of the
Isis and Magdalene, right?
yeah, exactly right. And it's when I think one of the incarnations becomes so like well known and
Like
has a
prolific.
personality
Yeah.
that's different. They kind of break away as a separate entity almost, but they're still like connected with that
That makes
energy of
sense
Saint Germain.
to me. I get that.
Okay, good. I
I
hope
can see
everybody
where that
gets
would
it.
make sense. Thank you so much, Heather. There's a part two now, but you got the combined part one and two, Heather. When you, I think I'm gonna. She's saying thanks. She liked my class. She took my channeling, my
Oh, that's
prequel,
great.
my
That's great.
prequel. Um,
I should think
and
about this myself.
I feel like what I'm gonna do is have the people who took like the very first two or three groups who took it when it was I had it combined into one class and now it's two. I'm gonna just let them take the second one like whenever. So Heather, next year, next fall, whenever I teach channeling too, come on in and practice some more. So yeah, so that's really cool. And I remember, you know, we talked about Merlin, this series a lot in this group because I was watching it. I started watching it. I kind of fizzled out a little bit because I'm getting bored. It's taking me a lot. It's slow, you know. It's taking me a long time to watch it all the way through. But I remember your comment really well. We were talking about it, and I was so curious what you would say because of your relationship with Merlin. Obviously, like he's got something to say about the show, you know.
Yeah.
And you were like, well, you were really nice about it, but you were like, it's a little different spin or perspective on like what happened. You're like, but it's fun. I was like, oh, so it's bullshit. Like
It's not that I love that show. I love that
too,
show.
but I read between the lines that maybe it's a little bit different perspective than what.
Well, it's young Merlin for one thing, and it's also um I love there's some things that are really good, like the relationship he has with the dragons, because Merlin is a dragon lord,
Yeah.
and that's like really cool. I don't know. I think that they don't mind. There's a lot of this going around, and they don't mind. Somebody, there was a show in the '60s called Time Tunnel. It was like
Okay.
really, really old, but it was like the first time they sent people into different parts of the past through a
Okay.
time tunnel.
That
And
sounds
they had
fun.
one episode with Merlin. And my husband taped it for me because, oh, it's Merlin. And it was funny
Okay.
because it was like a 1960s wizard. And it was just funny. I think they're flattered that people are trying to portray them.
Right. And they're
Um,
fine with whatever lens you're bringing it through for your
I
understanding.
Do
Yeah,
we
that's
have
cool.
time for me to tell two quick stories
Yeah,
about how, in
sure.
retrospect,
I would
it's
love that.
really funny because I got Merlin and he's coming, he's always there and he's coming back a lot. And I think there's a future with us doing some more stuff together
Oh,
because we
cool.
make a good partnership. But before I even knew that was going to happen, like in my 20s, I got out of college. I thought I was going to like conquer the world and I couldn't find a job and I got a job in a factory. And I was like working all day in the factory at work. And then I would come home to my parents' house because I didn't have a lot of money to get out. And I felt like life was like, what, you know? And so I would read fantasy books. Like I'd stay up like really late at night in my little bedroom reading fantasy books about wizards all the time. I read all the ones that are famous. And that was my love, you know. And then I would get up and go to the factory. And I would sometimes have fall asleep in my room with the book on me and the light
Yeah.
on. And then I would wake up later.
Yeah.
So I had this dream that I never forgot, which wasn't a dream, I'm sure, that it was really an important moment where I kind of fell asleep with the book. And then I kind of dreamed that I woke up in my bedroom, but it looked different. It was clean for one thing. And there's usually my grandmother's secretary desk, which has a fold out thing.
Yeah.
I was a kind of a clutter. So I usually had it open with crap all piled on top of it. And now it was open and cleared out, and there was this giant book on it. It was like one of those big leather bound books you see in all the fantasy epics
Like
with,
a
you know,
grimoire.
gold and yeah, it's just amazing. And
Yeah.
it's on there and it's open. And I look up and there's a wizard. There's somebody standing right next to my bed. And he's really tall and he has no hat, but he has this big white hair. And he has a gray robe all the way to the ground. And he's looking at me with these blue eyes, and they're just the most full of love. They were just so full of love. And he communicates with telepathy. And he's staring at me, and I'm like, okay, hi. And he's like, go look at the book. And I thought, oh my God, it finally happened. I'm going to get to look at the book and get all the answers and like be illuminated and be
Yeah.
wise and everything. So I kind of look at him like, can I really do this? And he was like, yeah, go. So I go over there and I like look at the book and the pages are blank. And I was like, what the heck? Why are you doing this? So then I'm like paging through like this and all the pages are blank. And I looked at him like, what are you doing? This is torture. This is miserable. Why are you doing this? And he laughs and he looks at me and he's like, you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. I'll be back. And then I like woke up and the desk was back to being all cluttered and ratty. And the book was on my chest and I knew something happened.
Yeah.
So I was really upset because I thought it meant that I was not worthy or I didn't do it right or
Yeah.
something was missing. You know, I didn't have my level of eyesight or something. And so I said to a friend, I said, what was that? You know, I feel terrible about it. I feel like I was unworthy. And they said, that's ridiculous. That's not what he meant. It meant you're supposed to write it. And I went, oh, you know, so all of my life I've been
Your
like
book. That's so
carrying this
cool.
amazing thing. And then like just a couple months before the trance channeling class,
Yeah.
because I love all this stuff, people may know I've referenced it before, but I have like a 7 foot tall purple gnarly wood staff. I have a wizard staff, and it was a gift from a friend
You
who
have
thought I would
Merlin's
love
wand, like
Merlin staff. Yeah,
wizard
it's
staff.
huge. It's like huge.
Which
I
is
have it right here,
hilarious.
but
And you know, the first time I ever channeled Merlin, the first time I ever saw Merlin,
yeah,
like it was all about the staff. And like I, for the first like bunch of times that he ever came into sessions, it's never for me. It's always because he's someone's guide that I'm working on or to help. It's not because he like, I mean, I'm sure he likes me fine. I'm more of a Saint G girl. and that's cool.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, but it's always for someone I'm working with. Like that's when I see him, or that's when I work with him. And he always has a staff. Like it's always like,
Yeah, the stuff is a
no,
big
it's
deal.
me because of this, you know.
And
So
I
it's so
have
cool.
this, and I spent a whole summer carving the end of it out and putting an amethyst on top. So I have this thing,
Wow.
but it was like it was sitting in my living room for 10 years, just sitting in the corner as a decoration. And it's in the corner, and just a couple minutes before months before the trance channeling class, I was literally sitting in the living room, like, I don't know, making bills or something. And for no reason at all, the darn thing stands up and falls on the floor. Whack! Down on the floor.
Uh-huh.
And like no earthquake, nobody was walking. There's no reason why it would get up and fall down except to get my attention. And I like knew something was happening.
Yeah,
it's,
of course.
it's a very magical world. It really is.
Right?
It's
It's
like
like there's so much magic. It's so amazing when you're like ready to see it. It's
you just have to
incredible.
pay attention. Yeah.
Right. So cool. So do you think Merlin has a message for us today before
Yeah.
we wrap
Actually, you
up?
said this morning that maybe everybody would appreciate
Sure.
something for the group here,
I know,
which
I
is
can't believe it's already almost 1 o'clock. I was gonna ask if you would show us the staff, and you had it right there.
there
Yeah.
it is. It's right here. This
It's
is,
so
isn't that
cute.
beautiful? That was a
It's
present from one of my
amazing.
oldest friends. It's
Amazing.
gorgeous. And then I don't know, I can't really move it that well because it's so huge. But there is a jewel, a big raw
Wow.
amethyst on top. And what happens to me is that it feels good. It feels grounding to hold
Yes.
this, you know, and to sort of focus on him so that that's what comes. All right, give me 2 seconds
You
here.
got it. Take your time. Woohoo. Okay, be quiet.
I've been monitoring this conversation with great joy. It is wonderful to hear all of the stories, all of the perspectives on me and my existence, all of the things that we have done for years to get this channel's attention and help her to understand that we were hoping to have her in service to our agenda. And as this is so, this group is a privilege to address. It is a group we feel which is all very advanced in its understanding of what is happening on your earth now and how urgent the call is for all the light workers to band together and use their individual special skills to move the agenda forward. Some of you are healers, and some travel multidimensionally, and some are in touch with the galactic force. Some of you bring forth new information or reinforce the old and enrich it with your perspectives. Some of you are artists or musicians, and through your art and music and writings, you bring visions of other worlds, of possibilities, of golden ages, past and future. All of you have a part to play, and we are grateful for this. We are very busy here on the other side, working with energies and working with many higher octaves, many dimensional forces that can assist you in the move towards ascension of the earth. But we cannot do as much from the outside as you can do from the inside, which is why we are grateful to you for your courage in walking through what must appear to you to be very dark and turbulent times. Remember, for all of you have had lifetimes in golden ages. All of you have longed for such communities deep in your heart. You have all felt bereft because life today is not as it has been in some of the beautiful times you have lived in. But it will be again, and better even. You are here because you have memories of what was and what can be. You are here because you can envision And you can believe, truly believe, with all your heart that it is possible to create a civilization, a dense civilization that is physical and yet not physical, a civilization that is about individuals and yet individuals who understand their oneness, a civilization which is about reverence for life and respect for one another, is peaceful in nature, and understands the active qualities of love. It will take time for all of it to come to fruition, but the beginnings are already upon you. This requires the dissolution of many of the old paradigms which you have grown up in and lived lifetime after lifetime, which feels much as if the floor is being pulled out from under you and you are free floating in the unknown. It is a disconcerting feeling, yes? We are here to catch you. We are here to hold your hand and to say, it is all right if you have no floor. We will hold you up. We will teach you to fly. But you will help to channel our light, our intentions, and our vision into reality, denser reality, into form. That is the whole thing about creation. You all know creation because you do it. You channel books and music and artwork. You channel ideas. This is creating from nothing or from bits and pieces that come to you. And each of you creates from these bits and pieces, comes up with something that has never quite been there before. This is the greatest joy for Source, because in energizing and creating infinite variety, delight comes from this. Delight comes to Source from the exploration of its infinite variety. But even better, when the many generations down from Source through the angelic kingdom and the ancient races and through the masters and through each of you creates new and different things. And then from that comes new and different inspiration and ideas. And you all are creating new things, new ideas, new beauties that have never before been seen, heard, or understood. And the idea is to create a society and a world where this can happen, where the energy of love is the ingredient that translates through every single creation. Where instead of miscreating and spending your imaginative energies on imagining gruesome, violent, brutal, divisive, selfish things and behavior, pain and suffering, inequities and lack, these are things we no longer wish to create. We wish to channel love through our creations. And in that way, what is built becomes glorious, filled with light and possibilities. You are part of this effort. Every one of you that is listening, and those that will listen in the future, will know that you are part of creating this new world. In whatever way you feel called and whatever way your special skills apply, you are here for a reason at this moment. Do not be afraid. We will never abandon you. And yes, sometimes the road may feel rocky or frightening. Come to us for support. and realize that many things that you may cling to are not important. Let them go and focus on what you are building. We do understand what it is like to be human and have obligations and connections and family and the need to support oneself. We are aware, and we are sending you clues as to how best we can work together to help make all of those things work smoothly together so that you do not feel pulled in different directions and overwhelmed. No one said this journey at this moment would be simple or easy, but it is worth every step. And there has never, ever been the kind of cosmic support from every direction, which is now directed at Earth. Earth, in many ways, is not the only wonderful, beautiful planet, but it is the hope of the cosmos because it is a grand experiment in the stepping down of energies into form and hoping that form can be maintained without corruption. That is why there is so much attention on it at this moment, to try to lift it into its rightful place in the cosmos. In some ways, I envy you all, just your experience, your sensual experiences, your uncertainties, even the drama and the intrigue of life there in a timeline, not knowing exactly what is to come and what is next, how to overcome the obstacles. It is exciting. I miss it sometimes. I stand by your side, however, to assure you that all of that is but a game compared to the vast, beautiful, colorful. There are no words. I cannot find words to describe what I live, the environment in which I live and move and have my being. It is for me to assure you that you will see it too. You will know it and you will remember it and you will feel like you are home. But while you are here in form, in a body, be entirely there. Love the opportunity. Enjoy the richness of creation. And do your work to move it all in the direction of good and in the direction of high vibration and in the direction of radiance. You will always be supported by the entire hosts of heaven when you ask for help. I tell you this today with love, and great respect. And I am here for you to call upon at need. Be well.
Wow. And so it is.
And so it is.
Wow, that was amazing and profound and beautiful. I cried during it. It really surprised me. Like it was sort of towards the middle beginning when you were talking about like I don't even know. It wouldn't even seem like it would be that emotional, but it was about um like being here and like longing for the communities and like and like being in this space where it's so important to be going through what we're going through. I don't know why, but like that part.
I was almost, I mean, the part of me that was listening was emotional also, because I
Yeah,
could feel that.
it was really intense and emotional and really beautiful in a really lovely way and so powerful.
You know, it's
Thank
funny
you.
because it feels like,
It's perfect.
just for those of you who are learning to channel or are already channeling or doing it, it's different for everybody. And for me, it feels like a partnership where I'm not completely taken over at
Right,
all,
me neither.
but I'm listening to him and sort of trying to give him my voice. But he steals information from my head too. Like he
Sure.
takes what I
You
know
could
and he
feel.
takes the pop images and the TV and he uses that.
Yeah,
But this is not the reason I know it's right. It's something happening for real is because that's not what I thought he was going to say. You know
right.
what I mean? Like I went into that thinking, oh, I kind of have an idea what he's going to say. No, not at all.
No,
Nothing
I
like that.
love that. I love when it's different or when you argue with, because then I feel the same way. I'm like, it feels really valid because it's not my ego disagrees or whatever. And that makes me feel better. Yeah, I'm the same way when I channel. It's like I'm pretty present. Um, and I don't typically always, sometimes my voice will change or my face or whatever, but not dramatically necessarily either.
Right.
It's usually very straightforward. Um, and it's just I think the lesson in that is that like we all bring things through differently and that's fine. Like it doesn't matter. Um, a lot of the things they were just that he was saying at the end too were just really important and special right now, and I'm gonna remember this channel when I'm in labor,
Yeah.
about how valuable it is to have the sensory experience of pain. Because he was kind of getting at that, you know what I mean? Like you all don't
Yes.
realize how lucky you are to
Yes.
have like real experiences where that are visceral, that you feel like whether
I
it's
did not
hard
expect.
or
Yeah,
not.
I didn't expect him to say, "I miss this and I envy you."
I get it
You
though.
know.
I think about that all the time. Like, when people like earlier in our conversation when you were like, I don't know if we were recording or not, but when you were like, I don't want to do this shit again. And I was like, no man, I love Earth. I love coming here and all its dirty grittiness and all its like ugliness and beauty and polarity and richness and depth, like there's so much, even though there's times where I'm like, get me the fuck off this planet. Like most of the time, like I'm like, I love it here. I always joke that like I feel like Earth is like the Vegas of the cosmos. Like we come here to like just
Yes.
get dirty, man. Um, happens on Earth, stays on Earth, but it doesn't. It doesn't. Um, that's the
Oh,
problem.
there's a book there. There's a book there somewhere. Yeah.
But yeah, so wow, that was really special. I'm so grateful that you brought that for us, and for the group. And
Well,
yeah,
that's
um,
very, very pleased to do that and glad that it worked out.
I hope that people heard
So,
his message of like how important it is for everyone to bring forward what's authentic for them, like and what's right and natural for them, and how important that is right now. So I feel like that's a big piece of what he was saying, and that's really special and important. I think we get lost in how
and
other people do things and how other people bring
yeah,
things, and we get inside of ourselves, and the world misses out, or the people who are meant to receive what we're supposed to offer miss out just like we do
yeah,
on everything because of our ego playing small,
yeah,
or feeling like we're not good enough because we're different and we're supposed to be different. We're
yeah.
supposed to be. So
I experience with the groups that I've been, associating with now, everybody is so talented and gifted, and I do experience envy sometimes, and
Sure.
somebody like you, I hear you doing this galactic language and I'm like, crap, where's that coming from? That's amazing. Or Megan, who like sees things in her living room all the time. But that could be a curse as
All get
well.
that. We all get caught up in that. I totally agree with you. I mean, I feel the same way, and I think that's why it came up. I think like we get really caught up in that, like, but I'm not supposed to bring Merlin through
That's
your
not
car.
what I do.
If you're
Yeah.
not supposed to see stuff in your living room, Megan is, and you know what I mean? Like, and that's how it works.
And that's why we're all together too. It's why
Right.
we can help each other and sort of, like you said, dovetail our classes together or our gifts together. Or
Absolutely.
it's a
And
good way that we can
it is
support
a
each
new
other.
way.
Yeah.
It's where we're going, you know, and that's the other thing that's so beautiful about it. And I mean, thankful that we have the humility to want to do it right or well or as good as other people, but we also have to remember, you know, that what we're bringing is important too, and just
Yeah.
as it is, just as we are. That's what we came to bring this frequency, this vibration of who we are, and no one else's or nothing else's. So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
I'm beginning to get very comfortable. As I get older, I'm getting much more comfortable
Age is good
with
like
that.
that, right? Age is good
Yeah.
like that.
It is good like that. It is good like that. It
Yeah,
sucks in a lot of other ways, but it's good like that.
right? I mean, I think about that a lot now, being, you know, 43, about to have my third kid. Um, just the way people talk and interact and about it, and where I come from, where I'm sitting, you know, versus 7 years ago or 8 years, 7 years, 7.5 years ago when I was pregnant with my first kid, and you know what was going on then, and how people interact with you, how you respond, what triggers you, what doesn't. And I'm being older now, nothing really bothers me the way
Yeah.
that it, you know what I mean? Like before,
Yeah.
people would do stuff or say stuff to me about my pregnancy, or like touch me when I didn't want them to touch me, or and I'd be like horrified or angry or whatever. Now I'm just like, don't touch me. And then like I just keep on like moving, you know, like or whatever, because it's like you lose those airs, you know, and it's like I'm old now, I
Well, and
don't care.
you stop worrying about what other people think of you. It's just like, you know what, this is who I am,
Yeah,
and I do the best I can. I try to be
time.
kind. And if you don't like it, tough, just
Right. Well, here, this is really important for people to know where they can find you, how they can get a session from you, what kind of sessions you offer before we hang up,
okay.
before we.
So right now, I'm just at that place where I'm enjoying so much learning how to do all this, and I like to give it. And my business sense is just like at the infancy. So right now, the best way to reach me is either to message me on Facebook
Cool.
of April Lindevald. It you should come up fine, or email me, which I don't mind giving my email address out because I do check it a lot, and that's a good way to get me, which is APRLSNGS, which is April songs only without some vowels because they wouldn't give me enough letters. So it's APRLSNGS, all one letter, at optonline, OPT online, all one word, .net. That's my cable company. And I will respond to emails within 24 hours.
I
And
love how non-matrix you are. Like
what?
you're like so not part of the matrix, like ever in your life.
But I'm like learning. I'm learning. I'm like, so I'm making Zoom. I do Zoom and phone
I
readings
super love
now.
it so much about you. Honestly, I do. I think people like that are so amazing, cool. So I'm into
I
it.
don't have a smartphone. Huh. I
You're the
don't. Yeah.
smart one for not having a
I'm
smartphone.
gonna end up having to get one, I think, but
You're
it's
gonna be
been
the only person not traced in the world because you have a phone. You're gonna be like the only survival.
the last person on earth, right?
My husband's always like, you know, stop freaking out about getting chipped. Stop freaking out about this and that. Because I worry a lot about freedom right now,
Yeah.
personal freedom. I try really hard not to be in that frequency of fear, but I do have concern. So I'm working with that. And he does not like it when I go in that path at all. He's like, cut it out. Stop. You're creating a timeline. Stop creating a timeline. It's not even
Ooh, it's
happening
good
yet.
that
I'm like, it is happening. He's like, it's not happening. Calm down. Right. So we have this conversation sometimes. The point of that was what? Oh, he was like, we've been chipped for 10 years now with our phones. Don't try to fool yourself into thinking like they know everything, every single thing. And I was just like, stop. He was like,
don't put that in my head, right?
What was your chip? I was like, ah. But he's not wrong. I mean, he's not wrong. So
well, I give
he brings me back to earth a little bit, like, yo, it's already happening. The government knows everything about you because of your phone. So don't try to act like you're gonna hide somewhere now when you have that thing in your hand connected to you 24/7. Like,
it's you know, we live, the problem is, you know, we're always divided. That's what, there's a card in the tarot deck that's like this too. It's all about the balancing between trying to live with great personal freedom and trying to live in a society where your personal freedom overlaps on other people's. And I'm not talking about like government takeover or any of that stuff. I'm talking about the things we have to sacrifice in order to be part of a civilization where everybody, you know, everybody has freedom. It's tough to figure that out without surrendering too much freedom and then becoming like subject to that kind of control. So, you know, you're always doing that dance. You're always doing that dance of, yes, I want this, but I don't want to give that up. And I don't want to, you know, just, it's okay. You'll figure it out because.
I know, I always joke that I'm like a libertarian socialist.
I am too. And I am too. I'm a libertarian socialist. And it doesn't make any sense.
100,000% alone, but take care of everyone somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just really funny.
Possible, sure, but like, I don't know.
But that's kind of my leaning. So right now, just good to get back to the practical stuff. I just wanted to say that I'm doing Zoom and telephone readings right now. And the readings generally are with cards and just talking to my guides. And also, if you want a channeling added onto it, I can do that. And it's about an hour and a half, I would say. And that's pretty much it. It's like everything is tailored to what you need, but that's what I'm doing.
Cool. I love it. So please get with her. She's amazing. April's amazing, amazing. Miriam, who just came on at the very end, just rewind to at least, I mean, the whole chat is wonderful. April's wonderful. The last 15 minutes, there's a nice long Merlin channel. If you want to listen to it, just FYI. She loves Merlin and dragons. Mary.
Yeah, well, definitely hear what he has to say. Anybody who comes on late, if you've missed this, like she said, we had a lot of fun today, but the most important thing for you to hear is the channeling.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, this is such an honor. It's an honor to be with this group and with you, because I have such respect for you.
I feel the same way about you, April, honestly.
Thank you.
I've been looking forward to this. I always tell Rachel how much I love you and how amazing I think you are. You can ask her if she knows. I'm always like, I'm like obsessed with her. She's so one. But I feel like a lot of people feel that way about you, April.
I'm amazed because, like,
I feel like you have
really learned. I'm feeling my way like everybody else.
But you don't even realize you have. Like, it's there. Trust me. Trust me.
I feel that way about all the
holler, and I got you. Okay.
Well, I really appreciate having this opportunity. Namaste.
And well, I'll talk to you so soon.
Well, I'll be sending you lots of good energy for everything to be easy.
Do it. I want it. Take away this heartburn, this nausea, the fatigue, and then give
you a little energy.
Nice chill birth. Hook it up.
Yeah. We're all going to do that, and it's going to be irrefutable.
You guys did do a healing for me, like you and Kim and Rachel and Megan, maybe. I don't know what it was a while ago.
Yeah.
That was very helpful. But it seems like people work on me. It lasts me a little bit of time and then it goes away.
Well, that's life.
Better than not. I get a little breaks. So
means we should remember to do it more often. So
yeah. Well, thank you so much.
What a pleasure.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.